Where am I? There I am. Hey, everybody. Love is here. How's it going? Pre-show, as per usual. You all doing well? I don't think I streamed to the YouTube account last week, which is very silly of me. But in my defense, OBS has had a weird update, so everything got kind of schluffed around and schnuffed up. So that's what I'm gonna blame that nonsense on. And you can say, Andy, you're a smelly poo poo face, and I wouldn't fight you on it. That's fair. But I don't. Yeah, it's not my fault. That's the excuse I'm going for, and I'm mildly okay with that. Just setting up the doodads and the hoojits and the fancy bits. But I hope you're all doing well. I'll be asking that again once we get the ball rolling. Hello, Big D. How are you doing this evening? I hope you're doing well. We're gonna be doing Beast Wars Neo. If you wonder why we're not gonna do Beast Wars Second, I'll probably say it again. But the reason we're not doing Beast Wars Second is because most of Beast Wars Second, I'd say like maybe 90% of Beast Wars Second is just repaints. Most of it's just repaints. So kind of irrelevant to do Beast Wars Second. Who's unique mold? Leo Convoy, Galvatron. Is there any other unique mold in Beast Wars Second? I don't think there is. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Hello, Excel Hedge. Why pain? Why pain, Dio? Shall we get the show started? Luckily, as well, I've got most of the Beast Wars Neo stuff. I don't know how long this episode's going to be because, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Beast Wars Neo is a good line, but there's also a lot of repaints in there, which we've already covered in previous looking at toys, so we'll be bouncing over them. But yeah, okay, let's get the music going, and we can, rub some poo in our faces and all that jazz. Okay! Music time.
Welcome to Moonbase 2.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Moonbase 2 podcast. My name is Andy, Decade Andy, and I am here today alone in the vast nothingness that is space, the final frontier, where love is in fact here. And then some Japanese words, hey, bow, 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 suck your mama. I don't know the words to the Beast Wars Neo song, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be looking at the Beast Wars Neo toy line. I mentioned this before we started the stream on the YouTube and the live stream. So I'll explain it here for you, the listener, who isn't here live or watching on YouTube or Twitch. The reason why we're not covering Beast Wars Second, plain and simple, I'd say 90% of the line is a repaint, and we've already talked about the mold. So there's kind of no reason to reiterate what we've already talked about. We're going to be talking about Beast Wars Neo. There are new molds in here. There are molds in here that I haven't talked about that yet. How about that? Because technically, you could argue that a lot of the Predacon side of things are repaints of the Beast Machines, Dinobot, Dinosaur line, whatever that fucking line was called. I just had a T-Rex on the front end. His name was the repaint of Megatron, and his name was T-Rex because why not? But a lot of the figures came from that line over. I remember seeing those figures in Disney World, specifically the Magic Kingdom, even more specific in the Future Land area. I saw them there, and I thought they were knockoffs because they didn't have the Transformers brand name on them, and I looked at them and I was like, what the fuck is this? I didn't say that because I was like, I don't know, probably 10 at the time, and it probably wouldn't have been a good idea to look at my mum and say, hey, oh, Baba da Patsy, what the fuck is this? Hey, oh. So I decided to, in my head, just say, hey, what's this? And ignore it. I think, as well, I passed on them because I think they were overpriced. I have a feeling they were expensive plus Disney priced. but I'm not entirely sure. Beast Machines, Dinobots. Okay, so yeah, I was almost right. Those kind of transferred over to Beast Wars Neo, but you could argue the Beast Wars Neo color schemes are a bit more interesting. But we'll get to it. Why are we doing this today? Because, well, if you've checked the news for Transformers stuff, nothing really happened. There's nothing to talk about, so we'll fill it in with a bit of this, eh? All right, we're going to start off with the Crazy Bolt, who's, of course, Igneous, who we have talked about before all the way back in the first wave of the Beast Wars stuff, so we don't need to talk about him. I think we even talked about this iteration of him as well when we covered all the repaints as well. So Crazy Bolt, he's got a silly name. He's got a good color scheme. I like him. It's the version of Igneous I have, because I didn't get the other versions. Goodbye, Igneous. Randy, we've talked about as well. He is a gold plastic redo of Razor Beast. We've talked about him as well. This is a figure that you should never, ever buy. That's right, he's Gold Plastic Syndrome. You can literally squish him in your hand without much effort. A child with child strength, baby strength, could probably destroy this toy just by squeezing. Not by pulling, not by twisting in ways it shouldn't be twisted. Just by a good squeeze, he'll turn into dust in your hands. And I don't know, it might be made of asbestos. I don't know. I don't know how this toy was made. Is he made of asbestos? I don't know. Do you know? Were you in the factory at the time when this guy was made? You weren't. You don't know. So sorry, Randy, you're going on the pile of get the fuck out of here. We got Rockbuster, which is the redo of Razor Claw and Rockbuster. Oh, he's also called Razor Claw in America, where he's just this exact same color scheme. It was the one that came with the videotape. We talked about him as well. He is a Crabman, one big claw, one baby claw. Fair play to him. We talked about him again. Go away, little crab fool. Bump. Redo of, what's his name? Armadillo. He is an armadillo. He is the red version, not the orange version, the red version. Psycho Orb is the best version because it's the natural, well, maybe it's not the natural color scheme, but it looks more normal. So bye-bye, Bump, you fucking loser. We got Hydra, who is also a redo. As I said, we will get to this would be the entire show if I was doing second, obviously, by the by. So we got Hydra, which is Pterosaur. He is the blue version, who was also just released as Laserbeak, not Laserbeak, but Laserbeak in America World. Goodbye, Hydra, you lame-o. Now we're on to the new stuff. So, the first quote-unquote new mold, because again, Dinobot machines, we're going to be counting is Sling, who is a dinosaur. I'm not going to try and figure out what kind of dinosaur he is. Why? Because paleontologists keep changing things. So who knows what it's called now? Maybe it's called a Finbackosaurus. I don't know. You don't know. Mikey's not here, so he can't correct me. So, a few things. Rob, we're starting off with basics, obviously. So, dinosaur mode is pretty solid. It's the kind of four-legged reptile with a big fin on its back. It looks like a Spinosaurus, but if he was small and on all fours, how does it do that mode? It does it pretty well. He's got a nice spine on his back with a gimmick, which we'll talk about in a moment. His robot legs are very visible, though, unfortunately. But apart from that, he's got ball joints for each of his dinosaur legs, and his little mouth opens, so that's nice. The ball, I did mention the ball joints for the legs, obviously, but because of the angle that the back legs are done at a 90-degree bend, so it is a just full 90 shape, like a corner of a square with a foot on the bottom. So you're not going to get a huge amount of posing out of it, just because even though it is a ball joint, you can spin around, but you can't do a lot of posing with it. There's a cut so you can splayed outwards as well, but that's specifically for the dead mode, which is the gimmick of all of these dinosaur guys. Why? I don't know. The dead mode, effectively, you splay the legs out, you split the spine bit in half for some reason, and then the dead mode looks like a weird flower, I think is what they're going for here. Because I don't think that's what the inside of a spine pokey up thingy would look like on a reptile. Usually they wouldn't be thick enough to splay in half like that anyway. It does have a little orange doodad in the center of it, where if you push the said thing, the sides of the spine close like a Venus flytrap, and snap. It's got little springs in there. It's a fun gimmick. It's a slightly bizarre gimmick, and I don't quite know why it exists, but it is a gimmick. It does work. It's fairly functional. It's not obtrusive to the dinosaur mode. It's okay. Is it obtrusive to the robot mode? Well, we'll get there. We can talk about that now. So the robot mode is not great. He suffers in a very similar way to holy poo weasels. What's his name? Subgroup. Hang on, we're gonna find this out. I'm not gonna ask chat. I'm gonna find this out. Fusors. No. Terragator. He suffers the same problem as Terragator. Terragator had just 2 big bits of accessory shit. He had his giant shell and he had his weird back leg guns. But they were detachable. Slings, unfortunately, are not detachable. His butt, which doesn't turn into a gun, it just kind of hangs off the arm. I don't think is you can disconnect it. If you look here, it looks like you might be able to disconnect it, but I'm pretty sure the way that this yellow hinge is pegged into the hand, I'm pretty sure that might be, if it's not guaranteed to be a screw, then it's a peg, and maybe you can just throw it away. I can't remember offhand. Either way, it's a big lot of nothing. That doesn't look like a gun, doesn't look like a melee weapon, unless, I don't know, you're used to hitting people with the rear end of like Komodo dragons, which actually would be a pretty interesting weapon for a video game, right? The Komodo you kill a Komodo dragon in a game, you saw its ass off with its tail and its back legs, and you just kind of flail it around. But not with the tail. You don't use that as the swing point. You use the base, the big bit, and then use the long slappy tail as the damage dealer. I don't think it would really work. The big fin on the back, it splays open. I guess it's meant to be a shield. And generally speaking, the robot mode is very long and lanky. Doesn't have much of a silhouette to him. And he has little green feet, mostly a yellow, orangey body. The head mold, I think's okay for him. It's fairly expressive, if you can see that well enough. It's okay. It's about what you'd expect from like the Beast Wars kind of emotions, which we kind of don't get any emotions on our toys these days, unfortunately, apart from, if you're lucky, a smile. It does say that the spring-loaded fin forms a trap to catch enemy robots. That's a specific feature. Apparently he came with he came individually, which is the way I got him, or you could get him in a 2-pack with Stampy. He also came in a 2-pack in Korea, but I can't remember who he came with. He might have came with Stampy in Korea. He might have came with Break in Korea. I can't remember offhand. In terms of what else he was used for, he was used for the Robots in Disguise line. I don't think we talked about it, but he was used for Sludge there. So what's the difference? Well, he's got a red face. Primarily, he's blue. It's not a bad repaint, I suppose. I don't like the giant Oddbot insignia on the back of the dinosaur head. But yeah, it's okay. It's a very different from the standard version. I didn't mention the dinosaur head. It does just kind of awkwardly flip down, and it does protrude quite a long way off of his chest, because the standard head doesn't kind of compact into his chest. It just flops it down, and you're done. That's it. He's transformed. And it's like, yeah, it's a basic. It's not a very good basic. It's not one of the ones you point to and go, that's a good one. This is one where you go, this feels kind of lazy, or they didn't really know what to do with the scale and how to make it all work. So it's like, there he is. Sling! He's here. Don't spend a lot on him. I hope I didn't, but young me might have just done it, because young me's dumb. I'm glad he doesn't exist anymore. We get Break next. One of the coolest Beast Wars figures. Why? Because he's a penguin. He's a polar operative. Because, North Pole and all that jazz. So, penguin mode has very, very little articulation. He has ball joints for his feet, so you can turn his feet left and right. I'd argue they should have been molded in orange, personally, rather than black. Whatever. His little wings are on ball joints as well, so he can flap and he can spin them around, and his head is on the swivel joint as well. It's about as articulate as I'd want a penguin to be, I suppose. They're not the most dynamic of like acrobatic creatures in the water. They glide. They glide like a fine sailboat. But on land, well, I mean, you've seen penguins. I've seen penguins on YouTube are quite funny because they're usually falling over. And there is some grim satisfaction in watching a penguin fall over and be like, ha ha ha, I know what it's like to fall over like a moron. It's nice to see other species of animals do that as well. It's not just humans that suck at balancing. Penguins suck too. Usually when I see a penguin fall over, it's usually in a zoo where it's on like a specific little plastic ramp. Still, it's quite fun. Again, the actual design for Break, good. Solid looking penguin. Yes, he does have a thing on his back. What's that for? Well, it's for his quote-unquote gun mode. I think this was a very, very generous thing to call it a gun mode. How do you make him a gun mode if you're not looking at the stream? Well, you untransform his back, which is one giant piece. You unfold his wings like he's about to fly in the air, like a beautiful eagle, and you turn his feet out to the side, and then you get the missile, and you put it in the gun part. So he's not really transformed into anything of significance. The closest thing you could maybe say he would look like is a combined Power Ranger weapon. You know how they combine like the crossbow and the daggers and the Billy's daggers and the sword. They all kind of stick it together in this big long gun, and two of them hold it from the side, and then they all kind of just touch each other's shoulders for power. It looks like that kind of weapon. It's very tentative to call it a weapon. It looks more like they've just maybe cut the back open on a penguin and shoved a missile inside of it. So it's not great. I'd say Sling has a better gimmick mode. But I guess that I don't know who could hold Break. You know, I don't know who could support the weight of Break. Robot mode. Robot mode is interesting. He suffers similar to Terragator and Sling. But I think he is the worst defender of this. How so? In case you've never seen Break. He has a very slender body. On his shoulders, for shoulder pads, he has the top half of a penguin. On his the other shoulder, he has the bottom half of a penguin. On the backside of his left hand, he has the backside of the lower half of the penguin. And on his right side, he has the entire back of the penguin. This is one of the one. It's not the. I don't think isn't the most shell formery, especially in Beast Wars Neo line. Ooh, I don't think he's the most shell formery, but he's close. He's real close to the most shell formery. He's all balancing all of this really excessive weight on his top half of his body on two relatively small feet with no back heels either, unfortunately, all on ball joints. So he's got ball jointed ankles, which do not move backwards. They go forwards, and then they obviously twist as well. Ball jointed knees, ball jointed hips, ball jointed waist. With I think there's a hinge in there as well. I can't remember what for, but I think it can get an ab crunch as well. Ball joints for the elbows and the shoulders as well, and ball joints for his shoulder pads. On top of that, cool. So I like the look of him. I love his head design because he's got a little beak on the top of his forehead. It gives a nice kind of angry look to his persona, I suppose. I think it's similar to Skywarp's, whatever his Japanese name was. Prowl? Yeah. You know the Falcon dude from the Combiner, the Maximal Combiner, who I can't remember the name off the top of my head. That guy. It's that similar kind of design, except it's a penguin head design rather than a majestic eagle. Inside his giant back piece as well is the missile launcher. Again, very awkwardly kind of schlopped in there, but it is. So he looks cool. He's worth getting because he's a penguin. I'd say he's more so worth getting because he's a penguin, and it's kind of silly. It's a silly animal that you'd be like, I want to choose an alt mode for myself. Okay, you're going to be fighting against dinosaurs. Okay, what's your alt mode going to be? Lion? No. Panther? No. What do you want? Penguin. Oh, King Penguin. That's my alt mode. And that's the mode they went with. And they went, yeah, okay. King Penguin. Enjoy yourself. I like him. but he's not great. He also, you can barely see it here, but he does have like the stomach section, which is folded onto his back of the penguin mode. Sorry, the stomach of the penguin is on Break's back. It just kind of folds down and hangs off of his backside. So he's very, very shelf ornery, but he is a penguin. What are you going to do? The features mentioned here are the spring-loaded missile launcher in tail/forearm. Gun mode can be held by other figures, but as I said, you know, it can be, but you got to, balance it. From what I remember, it wasn't easy to balance, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's been a while. We got Stampy next. We went from a penguin to a rabbit. This is actually a better figure, I would say. Stampy is a better figure. Stampy is a little white rabbit, but for some bizarre reason has metallic blue paint on his back and a little gray tail. So he's a slightly weirdly colored rabbit, but we won't worry about that. Generally speaking, from the side and the top, it looks okay. If I remember correctly, the bottom, the underside of him gets a little bit on the ropey side, basically, but I guess what you should expect. He also has a gun mode, but let's say gun in quotations. How would you describe this? If you looked at this, how would you describe it to someone who hasn't seen it? So they would actually get how this looks. So what they've done to the rabbit is they've split the head in half, and I'm guessing trying to suggest that the ears of the rabbit are some kind of pincer claws, perhaps, and then they've just kind of crumpled up the legs behind the back of the rabbit's back mode, and just kind of crumpled that up into a ball. So so imagine a ball, just shape a ball. And then crab arms, but instead of crab pincers at the end, it's like rabbit ears and half a rabbit head on each side. I guess that would be my best description of what they would consider this to be a gun mode. So it is, it's a mode. It's very much more of a fan mode, kind of like RID Megatron's mode, in quotations. But the robot mode, why is the robot mode for Stampy tiny? But why though? Hang on. YouTube will have like a decent image of Stampy that we can throw up on screen. Why is it a baby picture? Transformers Stampy. There we go. Okay. Boom. Okay, there we go. Bigger images of Stampy. Let's just go large. Where is a what? Yeah, that'll do. What the fuck is this? What is? Okay, that's fine. There he is. There's Stampy. That's a better image of Stampy. Poor man's rampage tank mode made out of a rabbit. That is not a terrible way to describe it as well, I suppose. But I think for the robot mode, it's pretty successful. The only kind of back kibble he has is he has his front rabbit legs just kind of hanging behind him. It's not super noticeable. His on the backs of his forearms, he has the two halves of the rabbit head, which you could argue like, I don't know, punchy kind of weapons. They're a little bit obnoxious with the giant ear blades coming off the back of them, which doesn't look like the most effective weapon, but if we're comparing him to specifically Break, who we just looked at, this is a much improved robot mode. He's got knee joints. The little front feet are a little bit on the ugly side, if I'm honest. And he does have a giant peg in his waist that just points outwards, which is again a little on the awkward side. You can see the back kibble, yeah, and it's not terrible. It's not that bad, especially for a basic. And he actually has really good heel spurs as well because he has his rabbit feet. Are these the back feet? Yeah, I think these are the rabbit's back feet. They just kind of go behind the robot's feet, so they are really long, like heels. Helps the rabbits out with balance. Helps Stampy out with his balance quite well. It's pretty decent for at least balancing at least. So Stampy, also a really nice head mold. Got oddly enough, a kind of a Starscream smug look to his little evil rabbit face. This guy has only ever been Stampy. So I'm pretty sure Break has only ever been Break as well. So worth mentioning, I suppose. Stampy. pretty good. One of the more solid basics, I would say. At least from this line. Unless I see another one and I go, hang on a tick, I was lying, this one's better. Stampede currently is the best of the basics. That could change in a moment, but I don't think it will. We have Dead End. Dead End, who is a Ammonite, I think. He's the snail with like a little wibbly bit at the front. Like the Ammonite. He looks like Ammonite from Pokemon. Yeah, Annie, that's right, Peg. All right. Well, it's better than saying penis for Stampy. Better than saying that. So he's an Ammonite. I think for the Ammonite mode, it's good. I'm slightly confused why the shell has giant holes in it. I'm not quite sure why that's the case, because it kind of breaks up this nicely hidden robot with like, oh, there's a hole in the shell. I can see all the robot bits. 2 holes in the shell on either side. I can see the robot bits. Why are we doing this? There's a lever on the top for a gimmick, which we'll talk about in a moment. Again, it's a slightly bizarre gimmick of why this is a thing. But the front of it looks kind of nice. It's got the weird, almost Cthulhian-esque head with all the tentacles kind of coming out of its mouth. I like that. And the shell actually has some nice paint detail on it as well. It's a white shell with these nice pink, almost tiger stripes on it to give it a nice pop. So the gimmick is you pull on or you push or pull the little trigger on the top, and it launches off the shell half. Like it's a missile. I don't know why. I don't know what's meant to be for exactly. If it's meant to be like someone's attacking him in Ammonite mode or in robot mode from the side, and he's just like, eat my shell, and it just shoots it off. I don't know. It's odd. And the robot mode, he has an obnoxious amount of his shell, because the shell doesn't transform. The shell are his shoulder pads, and they are just on the sides of his body. They're just there. So, the benefit to Dead End, dead, new word, end. It's not dead end as in, Stunticon dead end. When it's one word, it's 2 words, dead end. So the benefit of Dead End over, say, Break is one of them is a missile, so you can pop one off. And I'm sure the other one is also on a peg joint, so you can pop it off as well. When you do that, he obviously has 0 silhouette, and is a very slender boy. But if you do not want him with 2 giant shell halves on his body, this is a way to do it. He obviously doesn't do a huge amount of transforming either. A lot of it is just kind of finagling parts around, if I'm kind, finagling parts around to get them to fit in the shell, and then just kind of fiddling the shell to get, again, it to line up and compact. And then you just kind of get the head out of the bottom of the shell. That's about it. He does have a weapon, which for some reason isn't shown here. As it's shown here, it's the bottom half of the tentacles. Which also has a gun in between the tentacles. It's okay. It's not bad. But he's not a great transformer, obviously. He doesn't have the cute aspect of, he's a fucking penguin. That's cool. He's an Ammonite, and you don't go, wow, that's a silly animal. It's not like a pangolin, where you go, that's a silly animal. I kind of like it. Or like a little frog, where you go, oh, what a silly little frog. Or a silly little rabbit. It's an ammonite, which, you don't look at them and just go, oh, what a cute little silly sausage you are. You're like, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing that needs to go back to hell where it belongs. Sorry, ammonites. Excuse me. But I think the design, in its positive name aspect, the design looks interesting. And I like the head design as well. He's got almost a squid-like head as well. Which is kind of nice. Axel Hedge says, tentacle for her pleasure. Perhaps. Ladies love him. Perhaps. Who knows? I haven't seen Beast Wars Neo, so I couldn't tell you if he's a big hit with the Destron ladies. Also, was not used at all. He was only in Beast Wars Neo for this mold. Obviously, the name Dead End has been used many, many times over. But the actual mold itself was just for Beast Wars Neo. Again, this is definitely not one you should spend a lot for. Stampy is better. My Stampy love continues. We are okay. Next up, we have Bazooka. I like Bazooka, but Bazooka has problems. Bazooka has shell former problems, as you might notice is a theme of this. He is an orange dinosaur. The ones with the hammer tails and the armored bodies, whatever those ones are called. He's one of them. He has spikes on him as well, which are turquoise, which are kind of interesting. He's in this he almost, because of his color and the way that his body's been molded, so he's kind of shaped like a crescent moon, reminds me a little bit of a croissant. Granted, croissants are usually on orange, but you know, it's orange and brown are almost the same color, right? Kind of. Nice things about him. Again, we have the articulated dinosaur legs, and by articulated, I mean at their hips joint, I suppose, or shoulder joint, however you want to phrase it. There's a ball joint. They can splay them out as well. And the head is also, I think it's on a swivel. It definitely has a mouth joint, so you can make him roar and bite. And that's kind of nice. Does he have a silly... I think he does have a silly thing. Spring-loaded tail movement in beast mode. I don't remember what that means, but I don't think that it doesn't mean it swings left and right. But I can't remember exactly what it does. I don't think it's anything desperately impressive, though, I'm afraid to say. He has a weapon, which is an axe gun, as one does with guns. They have axes. Beast mode opens when side lever is pulled. Oh, there you go. So you can pull the side lever and the beast mode's head opens up. I don't think I've ever done that. I think I've only manually opened his mouth. Well, that looks silly. So robot mode, he's very shell-formy. He has his entire back half on one shoulder, and then his entire front half kind of just hanging off his back. And thus the piece on his shoulder, the back half on his shoulder and his back piece do kind of collide quite a bit, which is a shame. Because the back piece, I think, don't look too bad. It is obviously just it hanging off the back, but it kind of it looks like a big collar or something like that, big armored plate behind his back, protecting his head, which I'm okay with. And I don't completely hate that the tail's hanging off of his arm. It's mainly the fact that these pieces again just bounce off of each other. He is better than what was his name? Then Sling. He has better heel spurs. There's little feet heels that kind of fall down behind his feet. He has a giant dinosaur head hand like Megatron, like Season 1 Beast Wars Megatron, which is quite nice. I think the color scheme of the orange going off this really dark gray and the turquoise green with this giant shit-eating grin and actually spikes coming out the side of his head is quite good design. He almost looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villain, I think. You know, like one of the rock creature dudes, or like one of the dinosaur men people. Kind of looks a bit like something that could come from that, I think. So, again, not an amazing figure. It is a basic, still has its problems. I like it more than I probably should. I think it's because of the color scheme. I kind of like it just based on that, if I'm honest. But again, what was it? Was he redone? Yes, he was. He was redone into a worse color scheme. He was done into Robots in Disguise, Dinobot Slapper. I think we're saying Robots in Disguise. I think it means the Beast Machines line that we were talking about. They have not painted the shit-eating grin and left it unpainted, so it's more of a smug smirk. The orange has been changed into gray, and the gray is, well, it's a very light gray, and the grayish black has been turned into a red because he's Dinobot color. So he comes off, in my opinion, looking kind of dull and boring. He needed another color in here, or he needed more of this bronze color in here to make him pop a little bit more. Like if we open that and go back to your boy Bazooka and just kind of flick between them. You know, I think Bazooka has the nicer color scheme. I really do. I prefer it, at least. I wonder if they've just for the Decepticon crystal or the Predacon crystal in his stomach. I wonder if they've just tampoed a Autobot insignia over the top of it, or if it's actually inside the crystal. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. So I wonder. Either way, I think if you're gonna get him, get Bazooka. Again, he's not crazy good or anything, but he's all right. Stampy's still number one. I like this guy. We're now onto the deluxe figures. We're back to repaints. We got Drankron, which was the repaint of blah blah blah. Sky Shadow, who we talked about, the cool. These are the three fusels. The neat fusel, lizard, insect thing. Still looks good. Still a good color scheme. Between the two of them, this might be the better color scheme, I think. He still suffers the same problems, obviously, so we can just bump away from here. The elephant dude who was based off of Talker. This is the version you should get, even if you don't like the color scheme. Obviously, this is not made of not translucent plastic, you moron. Gold plastic, syndrome plastic. So yeah, again, even if you don't like this version, this is the version to get because it won't explode on you. Well, it shouldn't explode on you. The Talker will explode. This shouldn't. Let's phrase it like that. Again, we've talked about him. We can move on. And then Ratatata, who is obviously Injector. No differences as far as people have said. They look the same. You may as well get the cheaper American version. Doesn't matter. I got the Japanese version. I've got his fancy box, but I bought them as a 3 set, so yeah. This was ages ago as well. We got a slight redo, and I think we talked about him before. It's Sharp Edge, which is basically the slight retool. He's got a new tail piece, new head for his swordfish mode, and a new robot head, and this was a redo out of Cybershark, which was also used for Hellscream / Overbite. We've talked about it before. Still a good figure. Is this the version to get? I mean, Cybershark and this guy look pretty similar in terms of the color scheme, unfortunately. I guess you got to go... If you're going to go from the two of them, go off the one that you like the head mode of, or, I don't know, price. Otherwise, there's no real difference. If you preferred this swordfish fish to shark, I guess that could be another reason to get this version. But otherwise, talked about him. Hardhead we didn't talk about. Hardhead is a retool of Dinobot into a, I don't know, the dinosaur that has the hard head. Yeah, that one, where they run forward and they bonk you. It's one of those dinosaurs. So they're using Dinobot's Raptor mode. They've recolored him, and they have given it a new Dinobot head, or dinosaur head mold with a really shitty gimmick. It's not a very good gimmick, but they have given it a gimmick. When you activate the jaw, activates the head ramming. So you move the jaw on the dinosaur head, and for some reason the little, what do you call it? The head of the dinosaur. The part of the dinosaur that is the meant to be the hard bone part where they hit you with. That for some reason raises up a little. I don't know why. It doesn't come out of the head that far. Maybe. Trying to remember, maybe a centimeter, 2 centimeters high. It's very, very slight. Maybe it's probably only just a centimeter raise. It's a very strange gimmick. Is it different enough from Dinobot? No, not particularly. When he turns into robot, he's got a new head, so the robot's head mold is okay. The color scheme is actually very similar to, what do you call them? The Kree Sentries. If you know the Kree Sentries, they're them. That's the color scheme. Purple and turquoisey green. It's a good looking color scheme. It is using Dinobot's mold, so it's Dinobot's mold, right? It's not great. It's not a very good mold. But it's there. It's a different version of him. Was this reused? Has anyone else? Specifically this version of the mold. Yes, it was. This was used as Dinotron, who you could argue has a better color scheme, not mold. The color scheme on this version is green, black, and yellow. Yellow for the bone parts for some reason, and he's got a bright red face. This one looks really angry and pissed off. Oh, there's on this version of the image, you can actually see how high the bone head has come off. I was about right then. That's about a centimeter. When you move the jaw down, the little head bumps up. What a bizarre gimmick. XLhead says, somewhere Mikey is screaming at non-existent Andy. If only. It could be happening. He should be here. He could correct me. He knows when I stream. Well, he listens to the show. He'd know when I stream. But yeah, this might be the better version of the toy. I don't know. I think both color schemes kind of look nice. One's kind of a cool, like, summer's day ice cream drink, right? And the other's like, I'm in the deep jungle being chased by a predator. Or I'm an army vet dinosaur. It's kind of like that kind of two color schemes. Although it's kind of shocking how many versions of the Dinobot mold they had in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 versions of the Dinobot transformation scheme. Slight retools is like 1, 2 retools. But for the most part, just like, really? You're going to use this mold? This mold? Yeah, right. Fair enough. Excuse me. So again, Hardhead. Now we got Arcadus, who is I think it's meant to be a Quetzalcoatl. I think this is what it is. So it's a bird with a snake head. An interesting robot. An interesting robot mode and an interesting alt mode as well. There's some interesting things, again, with the design of this creature and the robot mode that I think could do with an update, because this is not great either. It's not shown here on this image of the alt mode, but there's a lot of crap hanging underneath of it, because you don't really transform the torso. You just kind of spin it around at the waist, and this is all the torso. So it kind of hangs down quite low, and his legs are just chicken legs with normal feet, which looks a bit weird. It's got a decent amount of articulation, at least, in this weird bird mode thing. Because of the way it transforms, the arms can flap. That's nice. Because of the snake head being the arm, it just has a few joints in here and a mouth joint as well. And again, because of the bird leg modes being just the robot leg modes, there's, standard kind of articulation here as well. Now, there is a gimmick which I will need to talk about, which I fucking hate, including this fucking gun. And actually, both of these gimmicks I don't like. There's also another gimmick here. If you look on the wings, there are triggers. You press the triggers, the wings extend outwards. And if you look here, on the bottom of the wing, there's a round-looking swivel. You unattach the arms and you swing them kind of towards us, outwards, and there are guns hidden inside the wings of the bird. So you have this really fucking bizarre-looking Quetzalcoatl that now just has 2 machine guns poking out the ends of its wings, which have extended even further. It's odd. I'm pretty sure, let's read. Spring-loaded wings extension. That includes, it didn't mention the guns folding out, but it does. Drops feather bombs. So you see these weird, do you know what the foot symbol is, chat? From the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? That's what the shape of the feather, in quotation, bombs look like. So when you extend the wings, these little, in quotations, bombs awkwardly, it's not a smooth drop, it's an awkward drop, fall off the wings. I guess it's like a Pidgeotto's feather attack or something. It's meant to do damage of some description. When you transform him into robot mode, I think he looks quite regal, quite majestic. It's an interesting shape, having these wings swept over the back and the front of the robot mode. He's got what kind of head would you describe that as? I'd say it's Air Razor-esque, right? It's kind of Air Razor-ish, with a few design flares to it. On his arm, his non-snake arm, it's a normal robot arm. When you transform it, you pull the tail up off the forearm because it's lying on the forearm, and then you twist like 180 degrees. You twist this tail 180 degrees around, and as you twist it, the gun unfolds and then rests into his hand. It's on this little swivel joint, so it swivels around and just lands in his hand. Nice bit of automorph. Technically, I suppose, automorph gimmick. It's not too bad. One bad thing about the robot mode, he has no heel spurs. So he can fall over a decent amount. He's got a lot of front foot, but no back foot. And because the wings are swept over his chest, his snake arm is very, very limited for the amount of joints it has in. It can't move forward because it clatters off the wings. It can move outwards, because there's nothing stopping it there, but in terms of just posing and stuff, you're not going to get a lot out of this snake arm, unfortunately, which you would say probably should be the most posable arm because it's a fucking snake. It should be all wibbly and wobbly like Quick Strike's arm, right? That's a snake. It's got loads of joints, so it can do a load of posing and fancy stuff. This one cannot. It's only got 2 joints, not long enough, and these wings are just covering it all up. But it is a very unique design. I'll give it that. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't used again. Beast Wars Telemoko Arcadus. So I guess it was used again for whatever that is. There seems to be a little bit of a difference in terms of its... Oh, it came with a DVD. It seems a little bit different. Yeah, it is different in terms of its color scheme. The hands have been changed. Hang on, let's get the images up side by side. That'd be a big boy Andy smart brain move, wouldn't it? Then just going, let's say back to back. Yeah, so the gold has been not that one. The gold has been changed from kind of a what do you call it? Brighter gold, kind of more of a mustardy gold to a more of an antique gold, and his little bird hands again have been changed from that kind of Retributor armor gold. Let's go with that. That's better. Retributor armor gold. They've changed it to more of a yellow paint for some reason, which looks slightly odd. You can see here how the big robot feet just kind of are very exposed again in the Quetzalcoatl mode. The green seems a bit more. Yeah, it is. It's a different green as well. I would class this as Warhammer Goblin green. While the original version of the figure is more, it's more of a mossy kind of green, kind of something you'd find in a pond green. The blue is also much lighter, and that's interesting. The blending effect of like the green going into the blue is better, and then the dark blue, and then the dark blue going into the light blue at the tips of the wings. It's more consistent. Yeah, it is. It's more consistent over the wings. For the original version, it just kind of stops. On the extendy parts, there is no kind of special paint to make it fade. It's just a completely different blue from the dark blue on the, I guess, the normal part of the wing that doesn't extend, and then they have this very light blue transition which doesn't take place on the other side. Yeah, that's interesting. And there's also a little bit more color on the head as well, so it's not just like the Retributor gold going to the antique gold. There's also a little bit more blue on the underside of the neck as well, so there is a bit more difference here in terms of color scheme. In terms of Roboto mode, obviously the wing stuff is, as I mentioned before. That's something. The triggers for the wing gimmicks are colored in green rather than gold, so they're not hidden, but it blends in a little bit better into the robot as well. The light blue of the legs has been changed to more of a dark blue, but that's about it. I wouldn't say it's a complete redeco of the figure. It's more of a kind of a tweaking of the color scheme. They're still similar enough that I don't think you really need both versions. But I'd say maybe this one, the one with the more fancy color scheme, is probably the more accurate version. Maybe. Not saying Beast Wars Neo, that is just a guess, so do not hold me to that. He was also done as Air Raptor in 2000, I assume for the Dinobot line, where his color scheme is once again changed. Again, it kind of looks like a similar color scheme, but instead of going for more of a, more muted color scheme, they've kind of turned the dial up on the saturation and the craziness. Not massively, but it looks more like a 90s toy, if you see what I'm saying. I'm sure chat understands. I don't like it as much. It looks like a knockoff. Like, if you look at... hang on, we'll pull this image up and we'll look at, again, the original version. We look at the original version, which is this one. And we look at this one. If you told me the Hasbro version was a KO, I'd believe you. Right? This looks like a KO where they've just kind of asked the color scheme and gone, yeah, it's almost the right color scheme. Yeah, it kind of looks cheaper, but yeah, fuck it. It doesn't matter. To me, this looks like a KO. The original version looks better, but the best version probably is the one that came with the DVD. Gildart is a happy little Triceratops. I know what this one is. Unless Triceratopses aren't real anymore. Who fucking knows? I think he's a pretty successful little Triceratops, isn't he? Look how cute he is. He's got a little front feet. He's got little front feet that are on ball joints for the shoulders and splay out as well. Same for his little back legs as well. They are obviously transformed his... I'm pretty sure are they his arms? No, these are his legs. So the knee joint kind of works. If you look around the back of his Triceratops mode, his robot legs are there, which is a bit of a shame. But I think it's well painted for an orange kind of Triceratops. It looks quite neat. He also has dead mode, famous dead mode, where you can roll his eyes back into his head like he's having an orgasm, or is the Undertaker, and depends how you want to play the game. You can splay his legs out, and then there are 2 panels you can fold out on the side of his torso, which reveal ribs and muscle interior. Obviously, it also shows a lot of the robot mode as well, but you're a kid, you pretend these things, he's dead. It's almost like a nod to the, excuse me, is it kind of Jurassic Park toy line? Where they could take a chunk out of the Triceratops there as well. It gave me those kind of vibes. I don't know why this is a mode. I don't know why this is a thing. I have a feeling this probably doesn't have a huge point to it in the cartoon. Again, I could be wrong. Happily say I'm wrong there. But in terms of robot design, I really like the design of the robot mode. Though I would, if I could, always have the eyes of the dinosaur head in dead mode for when he's in robot mode, because otherwise it seems like the head is alive. So he has a Triceratops head hand, very similar to Beast Wars Megatron Season 1. Also makes it easier to do these things. He has a big shoulder pad, which I would argue is not transformed very well here, because it should come up and stick out again like a right angle. Well, they've kind of folded it down for some reason. You can unfold these weird red things that come out of the bottom of the front legs of the dinosaur mode. You can fold them out, which to me always looked like antenna. I'm sure, again, in the show, they have some kind of purpose. I have no idea what that purpose might be, but it's there. My only issue with the design of the robot mode is his shins are very skinny. It's like he's got this big boy thighs, and somehow he didn't skip leg day. He just skipped the bottom half of leg day. The top half of leg day, like his thighs, are massive. His shins are tiny, though. He's got no calf muscle at all. He does have heel spurs, I'm pretty sure. And I really like the head mold. The head mold is what if man was wearing... Oh, the head design is very similar to 90s Spider-Man Rhino, right? Because he's got this big horn design coming off the top of his head. It's like he's wearing a little rhino hat. It's quite. I like it. I was going to say it's quite cute, but that's probably not the best thing to say for a villain. You do pull his tail out. Oh, that's something they didn't do. Technically, you can pull his tail out for the dead mode, but you leave it loosely connected, so it looks like there's some damage there. But for the tail, you pull it completely out, and it's a missile launcher. It shoots some guns. Let's read the features in case I missed any. Missile stores inside the back of the beast mode. Cool, because there are 2 missiles. Non-firing guns located in front of the dinosaur legs. They're guns, not lightning rods or anything like that, but fair enough. Spring-loaded missile in the tail. Yeah. Alternate dead mode achieved by revealing innards and repositioning horn to roll the eye. I thought it was the horn, to roll back the beast mode. The beast mode's eyes. I like him. I like this design. I like this color scheme. I think it looks good. It almost gives me a little bit of a vibe of Armada Demolisher. If you heard that, that was my neck cracking. Don't worry about it, though. I never do. Yeah, it gives me Armada Demolisher kind of vibes, color scheme-wise, and even like the design of his chest here for some reason. I don't know why. Just gives me those urges, those inklings. He was used actually quite a few number of times. My God, the bees, Justin, the bees. He was used a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the 5 times for Killer Punch you will get to. So the Gildart Specific repaintos. We have Tricerodon, which is the standard Beast Machines Dinobot line, where he is in more, I guess, standard colors. He's brown with green back, which actually looks, for a dinosaur mode, fairly accurate. I don't think it looks as good for the robot mode. But if we're talking about dinosaur modes, I think this one's probably better. I think maybe using orange for the robot mode and red kept the red face probably wasn't a good idea because it's too close to this kind of metallic-y, bronzy brown. They probably should have veered away from that and maybe gone a bit more with the blue and the silver just to have a bit more contrast with it, you know? But that's one version, not my favorite. We have another Triceratodon for some reason. I think this is the one I'm more used to seeing. This is a gray Triceratops with an Autobahn signal on the front of his forehead for the Stegosaurus fin thing, whatever that's called. It's a little bit more awkward. Robot mode looks, again, I think a bit better here. He has an orange face this time, which again, it pops, I suppose, but not sure really works here. It's okay. It's fine. We also have Dino Triceratodon. This one's from the Universe line. Oh, okay. So this version is gray, but with a hint of green in the gray. A very small hint of green. A greeny gray, and then it's got this cool kind of dino. You've seen it in Jurassic Park where they've got this almost kind of tiger stripe-esque splodges of paint for a weird lizard skin effect, and that is bronze, so it looks quite nice. I will say it's got the stupid Autobahn insignia on the front of the dinosaur's head again, which again looks odd. Robot mode, they should have made the robot mode parts more bright and make them pop. He looks generally quite dull, unfortunately. I do like the sinister, like, greeny gray rhino hat, and then this very dark purple with piercing white eyes. I think that looks quite nice. It looks slightly sinister. And I think if you made the rest of the color scheme a bit more on the edgy, sinister side, this could work, but they didn't go that far, unfortunately. And then we've got Dinobot Slug, another version. So this is actually a really nice version. This is a purple Triceratops with a black splodge on his back, and then a pinky, reddy kind of color on the front of his dinosaur head and horns. No Autobahn insignia on this version. And this one actually has a nice contrast. The robot parts are all black. There's a few white bits. It maybe could do with a few bits more highlighting. But then his head is purple and his face is white. So again, there's a nice contrast between the robot mode and the dinosaur mode. I think Killer Punch is still my favorite version, but the Slug, it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not the best thing ever, obviously, but it's like, meh. When was this one out? When did you come? When did you come? Does it say when you came? Oh, this figure was available exclusively at Walmart stores with a 2-pack of Dinobot Stinger in 2014. Oh, okay. Stinger, the Decepticon Stinger was the. It was a Legends scale shitty figure. You don't need to worry about it. But yeah, okay. So this was fine. This was all right. The Guild art, like I said, my favorite. The version I don't have, which I'd like to get, is a slight retool, so I can't speak completely about it. But it's Killer Punch. Killer Punch has a new robot face. The Triceratops head is new. I think the tail is new as well. It looks new. Yes, it is new. The tail is new as well. But for the most part, it's kind of a reshelling, retwigging of the same transformation scheme. So it's dead mode, you could argue, is more interesting. You don't do anything with the tail this time around. You do fold out the little side parts. But this time around, you pull off the entire Triceratops head. I don't know if you should do that, because obviously it reveals that his arm is a gun, which is his head, obviously, and looks less dead. Like, you're not going to convince anybody that this is a dead Triceratops, because you're going to look at the head of that and you're going to say, hold on, wait a minute, what's going on here? You know, it looks a bit weird. Robot mode, pretty cool. With the ripped off dinosaur head, they've shoved it on his back, which gives a nice extra silhouette because he's got the Triceratopses. It's probably not even a Triceratops. I don't know what the fuck this is. It's not Triceratops because it doesn't have 3 horns. It has the rhino horn, and then on its little head crest thing, it's got all of the spikes along there. So all of the spikes along that back fin are now on the back of the robot mode. So nice look there. The shoulder's the same. The hand's just different because now it is this weird, almost creepy crow bird head gun. looks quite nice. And then he's almost got like a bondage headgear for his robot head. It's a good look. It's a good, interesting look that's different. He also comes with, I don't know why they didn't pose him with it, this fucking sick sword tail, which is almost like a Batleth from Star Trek. Almost. Not completely. But I get the vibes of Batleth from this, personally. Does it say anything? A spring-loaded missile launcher in shoulder/beast head. I think they meant hand, but whatever. And that's all the new stuff here. So this one is decent. Was it redone specifically? No, Killer Punch is the only version of Killer Punch. So they redid Gildart a few times, but never Gildart's buddy, Killer Punch. Interesting. I've only seen him sold on eBay before in a 2-pack with the bear, who we'll get to. I've never seen him sold on his own. I'd like to get him one day, but you know how easy that's going to be. Ho, who knows? Next up, we have Koharada, the Cobra Transformer robot dude. He has a it says gun mode, but this is more of a battle platform mode where you untransform the Cobra mode, you splay the robot legs out, and you flip the head up, and I don't know what the fuck this is meant to be, man. I don't know. It doesn't look like anything. And if you shot, like, it looks like something you're meant to hide behind and then use it as a turret to shoot, right? But that means, if you're Koharada, you're bodying shots to your abdomen or head, because the head's right here. Which is not, the robot head, I mean, is right here in the center of this defensive thing. It's a bit of a mess. It's one of those, it's a fan mode at best. Not great. The Cobra mode, I think's really good. It's not the best Transformers Cobra. There is a better one, oddly enough, from the Beast Machines line. But this is good. It's got the, you know, that gimmick where it's on all these snake toys that you'd find at shitty carnivals and stuff, where you'd hold it by the tail and it would kind of just flow left and right for whatever reason. It's got that for the tail. So that's kind of nice. The bulk of the head of what would be the King Cobra is very bulky, but big. That's obviously because that's all of the robot. So I think for the most part, you know, with going, yeah, it is a robot. Yeah, I think it's good. I like the look of it at least. And Koharada's robot mode as well, I think is good. His one of his arms is just mostly his entire tail for like a big whip, which I think again works pretty well. He has a squeezy water pistol gun, which goes into his Cobra mouth, and you can take that out and use that as an actual gun. And just generally, the design's quite interesting. He's got this interesting head design as well. I just like it. I'm a big fan of it. Base mode can be manned by any basic class figure. Again, he would have to tank shots though. Gun can squirt water. Can be used in beast mode's mouth in beast mode. If I remember, the way that you get it to activate is you. How do you do it? You press this bit. There's like a bit where the head would come through. I think you press that down. That allows you to squirt the water out. So he's a spitting King Cobra. I don't know how often those things are, but this is a really fun toy. I remember enjoying it quite a lot. And in terms of snake transformers, there's very few. There's another Telemoka version. Okay, well, shit. Let's have a look at the comparisons between the Telemoka. Telemoka version, shitty base mode. No, thank you. Let's look at the Cobra modes. Back to back. No, yes. All right, so the Cobra for the, I think the standard version looks better. So the Cobra mode, I think they both have a similar kind of tail paint app, but I think there's more white on the Telemoka version. And the head of the Cobra, there is less, it's less blue and it's mostly black. Oops, and I've now clicked off of the thing. So let's just look at the, I think this again might be the more accurate TV version, right? Yeah, maybe this, the Telemoka versions are maybe the more screen accurate version, but I think I prefer the normal version, to be honest, of Koharada. I think this one's got, I wouldn't have liked it just black. Also, these paint apps on the front of the Cobra's forehead, Were a lot cleaner as well, I noticed. Was he used any other time? No, he wasn't. So there's only 2 versions of Koharda. There's the Telemoka version, which was 2007, which I didn't know, and the 1999 version. I have him. I like him. I think he's pretty fun. He doesn't hold. I didn't mention he doesn't hold his gun, as he has a claw hand. He has no normal hand. He has whip hand and claw hand. It lightly fits over his forearm, so kind of snugly just kind of plops onto. Then you go, ooh, that's nice. That's fun. Next up is Saberback, which is the Stegosaurus. Yes, Stegosaurus. I think this has a dead mode. Don't you have a dead mode? Do you have a dead mode? Apparently this one doesn't have a dead mode. Apparently. The Stegosaurus mode, pretty good. It looks like what you would think of a Stegosaurus. He does have robot kibble on the back of his Stegosaurus legs, which is a bit noticeable. His back legs as well don't do a huge amount of posing compared to his front legs, which have a lot more of an exposed, like, shoulder ball joint. I don't remember if his little dinosaur head opens, I'll be honest. But I think it's solid. He transforms into a weird, almost Native American shaman design, which is kind of interesting. He's got this big forehead hat, I suppose, and almost like a dinosaur skull in the middle of his chest. He has feet shoes, kind of like Magmatron. My only real issue is the hip skirts are a little bit awkward, but mainly it's the back bits, which are most of the... It's a lot of the Stegosaurus flesh, right? That's just, you point it just up into the air. And you go, well, I guess it's a framing device. Also, you just unpeg his tail. Kind of like Dinobot from season 1. And that's his weapon. His weapon, do we have a picture of his weapon open? We don't, not here. His weapon opens up. You can see here in the card art, almost to this, again, very Dinobot-esque thing. You know how Dinobot's tail splayed open into 2 pieces to spin around? This does it with 3. It splays up into 3 pieces rather than 2. So I think he's meant to be the Starscream-esque character. Don't hold me to that. In terms of redos, he's had 3 other redos. Striker, Robots in Disguise Snarl, and Universe Striker. So let's have a look at those ones as well. Boop, boop, boop. So Striker is the first one we'll be looking at. He is a bronzy kind of dinosaur, which might be gold plastic syndrome. I don't know. It looks like a similar kind of plastic that might. It actually has yellow dino stripes on him as well. So he is very different from Saberback with red plates on the Spinosaurus's back. Robot mode, unfortunately, I don't think holds up because he turns into this very gray robot with bronzy looking plastic. I like the head. The head's gone for blue with red, and then the face is like silver paint. That looks good. I think just the body mostly being gray and painted plastic looks a bit lame, unfortunately. So yeah, it's not going to show the tail, is it? Opened up. I think the problem with the tail is you pull the bottom plate and it opens up, and when you release it, I think it snaps shut mostly. So Snarl, he is silver painted. Actually transitions down into fades into a metallic bronzy color, which I mentioned before. So it starts off silver, transitions into bronze at the bottom of his legs, and again has the red dino plates and has a stupid Autobot insignia on his forehead, which isn't great. Robot mode is a little better than the last one than Striker. A little bit, not much. I think the head for Striker was better. This one is red and yellow crown with the yellow on the sides of a very kind of boring silver shiny face. I think the other one did the face design better. But I think overall the robot modes painted a little bit more interestingly here. I wish his shoulders were the same color as his biceps and his hands. And I wish that the side parts of his pecs were again black, because it goes from black biceps to to gray shoulder and side of pecs to then the center of his chest being black and red. I think if the center, all of the rest of that was black, it would probably help out a little bit more with the color scheme, personally. And then we've got the universe version of Striker, which is probably the better version of the repaints. Green dinosaur, black plates on his back. He's got some fancy dinosaur coloring on him. Robot mode's okay. It's a background character kind of color scheme, but looks a bit more cohesive, I would say, than the other ones. I like it well enough. It's not crazy. I think Saberback's probably the best, even though you could argue with me that he doesn't have like an amazing color scheme. Being gray, mostly gray. He's mostly gray. I don't know. I think this one was an okay one. He's not a bad one. He's got decent articulation and all that jazz. He's just a strange design. Not as fun as Guild Art, that's for sure. Now, Mac Kick. I've transformed Mac Kick once, and I said to myself, I'll never do that again. He is the horse transformer. The horse transformer, if you would. For some reason, they've got the head angled outwards, so he's already gone for his weird gimmick. This is, again, a very super-duper shell-formy little boy, unfortunately. For a unique thing, he does have a My Little Pony hair tail, which is good or bad, I suppose. But yeah, this was not a fun transformer to do. I'm trying to remember what. A lot of it was shell-formery. And a lot of it was ball joints having to twist and turn around each other. If you look at the robot mode pictures, the way that I guess parts of the back of the side. No, these are the back of the horse legs. The back of the horse or the front of the horse legs. One of the two. They're on a double-headed ball joint, which pegs into two parts that swivel around on the hip, and you're meant to throw those behind his head. He's got a weird ball joint in his waist, so he has a waist joint, and it can tilt side to side, but it just looks weird because it goes in at this weird angle. So he almost has like an hourglass figure, like the stereotypical Jessica Rabbit figure, as he's got big chest area and then goes down into this very slender waist, and then kind of stomach area, and then billows out again for the waist area. It's odd. It's just not fun. Like I said, I transformed it once and I went, I don't want to do this again. I'll have to transform him probably one more time in my lifetime when I'm packing him away or ready to sell him. And that will be it. He also has real hair on the top of his robot head as well for a ponytail, which is kind of nice and unique. The horse's tail turns into an axe. So the axe just has a furry horse tail on the bottom of it, which again looks a little bit on the awkward side. There's a lever in the horse's mane, which causes the horse head to spring forward, which again looks very weird. Works in all modes, so you can use it in the horse mode, or you can just use it in the robot mode. It's just, again, bizarre. Robot mode, ponytail made of nylon hair, tail made of nylon hair. Was he ever used? No, he was just Mac Kick. This would be a very strong just avoid. Unless you're trying to complete. I did not have a good time with Mac Kick. I don't think he looks cool in either mode. But then again, I don't think horses are particularly cool toys. I think they're cool in real life for running down people. Cavalry charges, of course. But in terms of just like toys, horses don't usually come across as very cool. At least Transformer-wise, I think this has been one of their few, if only, attempts. And I don't think this is very good, I'll be honest, guys. I think you could just give this one. That's the end of the deluxes. We're on to the megas. We're on to Survive, who we've talked about before, because Survive is a repaint of Polar Claw and Grizzly. So he is a brown bear, some grayish brown bear compared with Grizzly, who is a brown bear. Yeah, it's that figure again. There he is. Bye, bitch. We got Long Rack, which is thankfully not a redo. I will throw out a note here. There are no Decepticon, Predacon, or Destron megas. Only Maximal ones. Not fun. Long Rack is a giraffe. He's worth getting just purely on that whim. I think he's meant to be a Cheetor character. He has a tongue which you can push into his mouth, and his eyes roll back in his head for, I don't know, some fucking reason. I think he has a sound gimmick as well. Let's read the description. He's got a flip-out knife claw, which is this thing here. Spring-loaded claw, spring-loaded missile launcher, and the robot beast mode. Okay. I thought he had a... This, to me, you see these slashes in the side of his bottom for the giraffe mode? This looks like a voice or a sound speaker. I guess it isn't. thought it was. If I remember correctly, the giraffe mode is not very poseable. The front legs do not move at all. He has a better, well, it's got a knee bend, but without a hip bend. You know, you can bend the knees, so but what would be the point? The back legs do move more, but again, what's the point? The head it can look further up, but it cannot look further down for some reason. And I don't know why it has a push the tongue in, the eyes roll back feature. I don't know why that's the thing. The tail's on a ball joint as well. Whatever. I don't remember how good the transformation is, but I do like the robot mode generally. He has firing missiles in the knees. The knees of the giraffe go behind him for like extra parts of the silhouette, and there are missiles in the top of those for some reason. The knife here in the forearm, which, as they said, flips out in quotations, and you can unpeg it and put it into his hand. And then for his other hand or arm, he has a arm like, what's his name? Is it Scavenger? Yeah, Scavenger from Armada. Just a big claw, and then you can press button, and as it said, it extends. Overall, this one's not bad. It's not the best looking, but it's an interesting look. And again, it's like Break, it's like Stampy. It's worth getting because it's a weird animal. Because why would you choose a fucking giraffe? The only danger a giraffe poses is if it whips its neck at you. I think those can break bones pretty easily, but I'm not sure. But it's an interesting look at the very least for the second. I think a second in command. Next up, Heinlad, the working Transformers clock, which is an actual feature if you want a Transformer toy that featured in the first episode of RID in his clock mode. Well, Heinrad is a working clock. Let us read his gimmick. He is a working alarm clock, as I mentioned. Missile store in the legs. Accessories come to form a spring-loaded missile, and it converts from robot to beast, obviously. So Heinrad also has a quote-unquote goggle mode, which is, I don't know why they say this is a separate mode. You flip the goggles down over his robot face and boom. He is a Tanuki. He is the weird little Tanuki, and it's mostly okay. It does have a giant split down the Tanuki's head, as that splits apart, as you can tell, to reveal his robot head. So it's a little bit awkward because there's no way to really get that. Oh, ball, says Axel Hedge. Yes, his balls are slightly formed at the bottom. He does not have aggressively large testicles, as Tanukis in Japan are usually depicted as, but they're kind of attempted to go here. What are they meant to be again? Oh, the testicles on the bottom of the Tanuki mode are just the side hip skirts. I think they're meant to be little booster jets or something, but I'm not entirely sure. He does have a decent amount of articulation with a lot of ball joints everywhere and all that jazz, even with the working clock in his chesticle. The robot mode, I think, is generally okay. The cool thing is, and it's really weird to say this is cool, he comes with a sake bottle, which has a little material rope. It's not plastic from what I remember. And he comes with a notebook, which I always thought was like, I don't know, a rice takeaway box. These both turn into guns. The sake bottle sticks on the end of the notebook to form the barrel of the gun, and as mentioned, the missiles go into the top of the sake bottle, and that's his gun. It's a pretty fun gun, to be honest. I've never seen a gun as neat as this because it's stupid. And in beast mode, he can hold them in a sake bottle and let's just call it Chinese takeaway box or notebook. He can hold them like that as well. So again, very fun, very silly, worth having because he's just weird. And he can make sure you get him with his weapons because, why wouldn't you want him with the stupid weapons, right? At least I would say so. In terms of the design for the robot mode, I don't love it. But I appreciate the silliness of a Tanuki. I don't see this guy ever getting redone. To be honest, I don't see most of the the Beast Wars Neo guys getting redone. I say that Magmatron got done. Big Convoy will probably get done. Will the rest of them get done? I don't know. And then we have the last two, the Ultras. We have Big Convoy or Big Shell Former Convoy. Let's read his gimmicks. So he has a 5mm compatible removable matrix, which does store in his chest quite well. Flip out clubs on his forearms. He has spring-loaded missile launcher attached to the robot's legs. Does he? Oh yeah. Okay, we'll get to them. I remember them. A switch activated trunk movement. So in mammoth mode, the trunk can sway left and right. Spring-loaded missile launcher weapon. And that's all the goo. So, unfortunately, Big Convoy's cannon is a good portion of the the beast mode. It is the entire trunk. It is a large portion of the forehead of the elephant, and it is a good portion of the back panels, unfortunately. Woolly Mammoth mode, he does not do anything. His ears flap. I think his tusks can go up and down. And if you pull the big lever on his forehead, as mentioned, his trunk can move left and right. But that's about it. He ain't doing a lot. He's quite static. He's also got this paint transition of being a chocolatey dark brown top, and then, actually no, like a dark chocolate top going down to a chocolatey fade on the bottom, or caramel fade to the bottom, perhaps. Maybe you could go that way. The robot mode, he has although they're just the sides of the head of the mammoth mode, because they've been made to look like missile pods and the horns and tusks kind of jut outwards to give this really nice silhouette, I can kind of let that go. Generally, I think the design is good. I wish the side panels of the woolly mammoth on his shins. Think about Season 1 Beast Wars Megatron. They were on his thighs. These are on Big Convoy's shins and look very awkward there. It doesn't look quite right. It's even the same shaped missile, the circular missile that Beast Wars Megatron had as well. I don't think it's the same mold, but it's very similar. I do like the fold-out clubs on the back of his hand. I think they're less obtrusive than Leo Convoy's giant claws because they're not stored within, gigantic lion paws. And the head design is an Optimus Prime tweak. It is Optimus Prime-y, but then has two horns on the side of it, which look quite nice. And translucent plastic boob folds down to reveal the Matrix, which he can actually hold as well, which is nice. There are a lot of Optimus Primos, G1 Optimus Primes, that cannot hold their Matrixes, Matrix. Big Convoy can hold his Matrix in both hands because of the design. They actually designed the Matrix to be held. A good call. So although I like the design of the robot mode, the problem with Big Convoy is his transformation's not desperately fun. It is mostly a shell former process, and because the gun mode is very unwieldy, it's not desperately easy for him to hold said gun. Because he just doesn't have the arm tolerance to hold it. XL says, "Woo, best Nemesis Prime." Yeah, we'll get to that. Commander class Big Convoy / Nemesis Prime when Hasbro? It's a good question. Also, when Big Convoy / Nemesis Prime Transart? Again, good question. Well, Transart haven't done anything outside of just Beast Wars, so I think they're still gonna hammer through Beast Wars before they move on to anything more eccentric, I would think. So, redos. There's, oddly enough, a couple of redos. There is the Black Convoy. There is the Nemesis Prime from Universe. There's also the Collectors Club Ultra Mammoth. There was the big Encore version, which was just a reissue. And Legends of Big Blue Convoy in 2019, which I assume is just the Ultra Magnus one reissued. So, let's go through them, shall we? Black Big Convoy. Let's just get normal image of black Big Convoy. Big Black Black Big Convoy, not Big Black Convoy. Woolly Mammoth mode. Black, very at the bottom of it transitions to caramel chocolatey brown, but it's mostly a black Woolly Mammoth. And again, mostly in robot mode, it's primarily black with a few bits of kind of coppery gold highlight. It's not bad. It's okay. It's a little bit dull. And I say that because Nemesis Prime, as Axel had mentioned, is the better version. Woolly Mammoth mode is again better. It's black to gray. They've actually painted the eye red because evil. The transition from gray to black is a little bit higher than the Nemesis Prime. The tusks are white until the tips, which are red because he's evil, so he's been stabbing people because he's a dick. And oddly enough, the trunk transitions into metallic-y silver. Don't know why, but it gives a nice look to it. Robot mode adds desert kind of browny color to him, which you wouldn't suspect, but works. Extra bits of red for the missile pods. They've got the teal in there as well. He's got little red feet. The problems with the mold still remain, but the extra color, which you don't ever see on a Nemesis Prime or Scourge figure, like this desert brown color, I think adds a lot to him, makes him pop. I think it looks really nice, to be honest. I think this is I'm upset that I didn't buy this when... I don't think I ever saw it, but I knew of it, and I'm upset that I didn't buy it when I knew of it, you know? I think this is a really good repaint. I like it a lot. Ultra Mammoth is, hey, what if Ultra Magnus dough? So we have a blue mammoth, which transitions right at the bottom to white. I didn't mention that it had a, because I completely forgot, there's a devastation mode, so they say, which is you untransform the woolly mammoth head, you poke the shin, missile launches out from the side, so it's a woolly mammoth with the giant face gun. Think of the face gun from Lockdown, from whatever movie Lockdown was in. That, the head gun, that, but for this woolly mammoth, right? So that's that. And in terms of robot mode, it's white, red, and blue, or red, white, and blue. Color placement's good for it. I think the color placement works. I wouldn't want it because it's just... Ugh. It feels kind of gross at this point. Ultra Magnus repaints of Optimus Prime Primos. I don't like it. I think it's kind of lame. But it's there. There you go. Do you want it? There it is. Enjoy it. But that's Big Convoy. The last toy of the Neo line is, of course, Magmatron. We have a new figure for. Does he come with another repaint? No. It was only Magmatron. Magmatron released in Japan, or Magmatron released in America. Features. Flapping wings on the Skysaurus, which is the water thing. Wings activate when you pull the tail. I wouldn't say the tail. Oh, Skysaurus. Sorry, my bad. Skysaurus is the pterodactyl thing. That's right. You pull the tail on the pterodactyl thing, and its little arms, well, they don't flap up and down. They flap up and down, not in and out. Not normal, wing movement, but up and down. It's weird. You should. I hope you get what I mean. The front flippers of the Seasaurus move when you move the black flippers, which I mentioned. That doesn't work on the new one, but it almost works on the new one. Like, it's almost there. It could have been built in potentially, but they didn't. The sword hilt doubles as a pairing spring-loaded missile launcher. Thankfully, the new one is not a spring-loaded missile launcher. But you get some extra missiles as well. You get Skysaurus's missiles, which you can put in the gun hilt. You get Seasaurus's missiles, which, again, you can put in the gun hilt. And you get the sword, the spiky sword, which is the tail. The sword hilt transforms into a gun. Same for the new one. The spring-loaded missiles launch from the Landsaurus's mouth. I forgot it did that. Yeah, the Landsaurus, Carnosaurus, whatever this is, because the gun is stored in its throat. When you lift up its mouth, the missile, well, a missile can shoot from its mouth, which is okay. Free rolling wheels on... robot feet. Free rolling wheels on the robot feet. I assume they mean on this robot's feet. Oh, yeah. You can see them on the back there. Are the wheels on the Legacy version? I can't tell. There's stuff around his feet, so they're blocking his feet. I'm going to say no. I don't think there are on the new one. And 3 individual robot modes. 3 individual beasts to super monster conversion. So this is the bizarre mode where, no one likes this mode, but you can do it anyway, where the Seasaurus becomes the anus and the pterodactyl becomes the bird sitting on the top. It can do this. Mostly the Magmatron is pretty similar to the new one. The new one is more refined and it's a better figure, but for the most part, this is very, very similar to the original version of the toy. A benefit I'll give this version, the original version of the toy, he doesn't have as big hip skirts. The hip skirts are way bigger on the new one than they were on the original version. But the new one has more articulation. Still faffy to pose him. because bits would clatter into each other and all that kind of jazz. But Magmatron was done recently. If you've got the new version, you've pretty much had the old one. He's still not desperately fun to transform. Still awkward to transform. But I do think they mostly refined it for this new version. Skate mode. Maybe it was the skate mode. It was the skate mode all along. I think maybe the tail in the robot mode is a little better as well, but I can't remember why. I don't like the tail mode in how the tail's been done in the new Legacy version. But for the most part, like I say, the Legacy version is the original version, but better. So if you've got that, you have a good understanding of Magmatron. But for the time period, it was, 1999. I think it was a very brave design to get three very difficult, different looking sea animals to all transform together into one fairly cohesive robot and do it in quite a innovative way. I'd say it's almost Power Rangers in how it comes together, but it's a lot more fiddly. And I think this was the main problem with Magmatron. He's very fiddly. I will say, because the Seasaurus's neck is all ball joints, unlike the new version, it is easier to get the head into the position and peg it in. It's a little bit more faffy on the new version because they're not on they're on what they call disc pegs or disc joints, where they can only rotate in one direction. So you got to finagle it around a little bit. Ball joints are obviously a little bit more on the forgiving side. But yeah, there you go. That is the Beast Wars Neo line. It's going to be quite a short show today, obviously, because it's not a huge line. It's a good, solid line, I think, generally. The new molds are interesting, and probably the best versions of them. Not including modernized versions of them, because there's only been Magmatron, really. Big Convoy is a bit of a disappointment, unfortunately. It's a little disappointing how many reissues or recolors of figures there are. You could argue, I guess, whether they're better than the original versions of them. You could argue that. That's fair enough. And the new... so most of those basics are pretty rough. I was right. Stampy's the best basic in the line. Especially when you consider new molds, right? Stampy's the best because he's not a shell former. And he doesn't have a huge amount of crap hanging off of him. Unlike, say, Dead End and... who is the other one who's really egregious? Oh, brain. Oh! Break. That was it. Dead End and Break are the most egregious in the line. If you wanted to say, as like a negative critique of Beast Wars Neo, a lot of the line relies on shell forming. I wouldn't fight you on it. There is a lot of shell forming in this line, but I think they give a lot of decent looking robot modes for the most part. It stands apart from Beast Wars, at least. You can look at this line, at least the new molds, as I mentioned, and tell that there's been improvements, I would say. Exelhead asked, was there a big difference between Magmatron's beast machines? No, it was exactly the same. As far as I know, I haven't seen anything to counter this. It was exactly the same. I think I remember seeing this version of Magmatron as well, back in Disney World. But yeah, this figure was exclusive at Target stores as part of the Beast Machines toy line in 2000s. Yeah, it doesn't say it was redone in any way at all. I don't think there was any difference in the skull scheme. Oddly enough, I don't know why. Most of the rest of that line, they'd recolored like Guild Art and the rest of them, but for some reason they went Magmatron. Fuck it. Who cares? I don't give a shit. Whatever. Like, all right, fair enough. That's what you want. That's what you want. But that's it, guys. That is the Beast Wars Neo line. It's one I should have covered before, but other people didn't know too much about it. So I have a decent amount of them. I don't have all of them, as I mentioned, but I have a good chunk of them. I think the ones I'm missing the most of are the repaints, because I've already got them. And then just random ones like Killer Punch. I don't have. I think I've got most of the unique molds at this point, which is all I really care about, I suppose. Anyway, we might be doing news next week. Obviously, depending on what's out next week, there might not be anything to talk about. If not, we'll figure something out. Hello, Simon. Simon says, "Hi, Andy. Have you seen this? Let me see. Let me make sure it's not pornography." Click. Oh, I have. This is the Four Horsemen's Mythic Legions. I'm not going to say the name. Green Dragon 1/12 scale, so 6-inch figure line. Coming 2025. Oh, it's 2000. Oh, next year. Okay, no, 2026. It's a 3-foot long dragon, ladies. And from what's it? From the tip of the nose to the full extended tail is 22 inches long, and obviously it's pretty tall. I think it's 31 inches tall as well. If you just have it standing normally. It's pretty cool. It looks really nice. I'm not a big fan of green dragons generally. Green dragons, to me, are usually wood and nature kind of things. And then wood and nature dragons, to me, go towards wood elves. And fuck wood elves. Fuck elves in general. Pompous assholes. But I really like the sculpt of it. I think the sculpt of this thing is fantastic. You can see how fucking big it is as well. I wasn't a big fan of their troll. I didn't like their troll too much. I have liked the look of some of their undead stuff, but I don't buy Mythic Legion stuff because there is not as far as I've seen, there's no UK vendor for them, and Mythic Legions are pretty expensive. They're not cheap. They're not the thing with Mythic Legions as well. They're not super articulated or anything like that. They're selling you on a sculpt, on a really interesting sculpt, more so than they are like a highly articulated figure or anything like that. But yeah, I think the design of this dragon is really good. I prefer it not to be in this color. I really like the fire effect part it comes with as well for the dragon breath. Oops. The dragon fire effect part is going to be 16 inches long because it's got to go from the head of the dragon down to the ground. So that does look good. Do we have Simon, do you know if we've got a price tag on him? I don't think we do, right? Pre-orders are starting January. Ugh. I reckon he's going to be a lot, right? Four Horsemen stuff is not cheap. If you were to guess how much he was going to be, how much would you say? I'd say he's going to be... There's no way he's less than the Hasbro Sentinel, right? There's no way he's going to be less than the Sentinel, which is about £200. Ain't no way. It might be cheaper for America, but if you're talking about British stuff, it's going to be a Store Horseman exclusive as well. So I don't know what the Four Horsemen's shipping policy is to the UK. I think it would be 450. So that's more than the Sentinel by a significant amount. That's 3 or 4 Sentinels, at least American-wise. It's like 2 English Sentinels. You could get double the amount of Sentinels. No, it's not exactly, obviously. It's just kind of rounding up in a fun way. I'm not sure if it's worth that much. This is a very specialty item. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like Four Horsemen stuff, like I said, is very expensive to begin with. So I shouldn't be super shocked. It is very highly sculpted, though. The rest of the announcement is very beautiful. Let me have a look at the beautiful lineup. Oh, I think I've seen some of these. I don't think I liked any of them. So you have Catman. Don't care for Catman. It's a nice design, but it's not something I want. You know what this is? This is the it's not Ninjago. What was it called? What was the Lego Thundercats stuff called? Chima. It's a Chima guy. A Quetzalcoatl kind of thing. It's okay. Probably needs more booba. Roman Catman? No. Wolf Dogman or Cobalt, maybe? Yeah. Snake. Oh, Dragon Snake Priest Lady. It's okay. Snake Man. Aztec Snake Man. That's better. That's a bit more interesting. Clearly using the same body buck as the previous one. Oh, so is this one as well. Fire. Oh, it's a genie. These are okay. I don't love them. Mythic Legion for me has always been one of those things where I look at it and go, there's like 1 or 2 I like the look of, but not a lot. Let's see the last ones that I like the look of, where I was like, yeah, that's cool. I like the look of their Headless Horseman guy. This guy, I thought he looked neat. I didn't buy him because he was fucking expensive. And I had, again, no idea where you can get these if you are in the UK, like I am. Every now and again, I see a vampire guy who I'm like, it's okay. Like, this guy's okay. I like his cape. Waltor, the Mad Cosmic Legion. He's nice. He's got a skeleton head. I can appreciate that. But didn't they have like an undead set at one point, I think, right? I think they had like a 2-pack spooky ghost set. Waltor, the Mad Mythic Legion standard skeleton. Again, this is okay. He almost feels like a bit of a basic bitch skeleton. I like the his little furry cape. That's kind of cute. And that's all they have in stock. So like there's out of all the stuff they actually have in stock, there's one where I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Mythic Legion's very much been a thing where I look at it and I go, eh. I appreciate the work that they do because they do some very solid work. I think the 2-pack were a Halloween special. Oh, well, there you go. Like I say, I'm not too fussed. They're not easy for me to get, and they're not the most articulated stuff. They're just neat stuff where I'm like, yeah, they're all right. All right. But that's it, folks. Thanks for coming on by. We'll be here next week. You can find us on Moonbase 2, Transformers Podcast, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all that jazz. We're going to probably be sticking to this time period again. It's going to be from like 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock UK time now because work is very wobbly at the moment, let's say. So 9 till 10, give or take, on a Sunday. If you want to watch me stream, you can come over to the Decade Andy channel. I'm on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube and all those places as well. There's Decade Andy, obviously. So if you want to come on by, I'd much appreciate it during most of the week. Unless I'm just fucking shattered, which is happening a lot at the moment. We're getting worn down like a pumice stone. Also, ccbunker.weebly.com. Thank you ever so much for coming on by. Hope you have a very good day, good evening, or a good night. I'm dead on the outside, dead on the inside, and until next week, we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye, everybody! Yeah.